This one's definitely going to be a little different than my usual videos, guys. Welcome to my shop. What's up, everybody? This is my Traeger Ranger, and I absolutely love this thing. However, it still comes with a few quirks I wish were different, and today we're going to see if we can fix a couple of them. This is my absolute battle axe cooking device when it comes to camping. But not all campsites are level, or even levelable, making the included griddle almost impossible to use. Additionally, to save space on the included picnic table at campsites, I always haul with me a folding plastic table. And when this isn't being used as a smoker and I'm up into the, high range grilling something, I get a little bit weary of, melting and warping that thing. So today we're gonna build an adjustable base for this guy that doubles as a heat shield, makes cleanup even easier. I think it's gonna be really great. So hey, let's get building. Perhaps I should mention, I'm winging this. I have no designs, no plan. So enjoy the voiceover. The next time you see me, it'll be at the outro at the campground, hopefully testing out a fruitful product. Well, since I just admitted that I have no plan, that makes for a good place to start. So I take some measurements. And in case this doesn't work or becomes something I have to modify a few times before I figure it out, I'm trying to use scrap wood instead of buying new, so that has to be considered into my design. I decided to basically frame in a 1/2-inch sheet of plywood to add strength and aid in containment of drippings. So I get out my table saw and cut the ply down to the size I chose, which I don't remember off the top of my head, but I know it was bigger than the area of the Ranger so that there was room to catch any accidents and make for easy cleanup. I cut one side to size, and then I cut the other side to size, which, makes good sense. And the next step I take is to cut my frame pieces down to size. Much of the decision of the dimension for this came from what I had left over in this chunk of select pine. Since this is going to be stored in the camper, I want these pieces to be super strong. So I'm going to put some rabbets in them, which will give me a better glue joint and also help me cover up the laminated side of the plywood, which will ultimately help keep it all dry. So I get the saw set up for that, and what's neat about smaller rabbets that are square is you can get those done without switching over to your dado blade. And of course, it always makes good sense to run a test piece through, and here you go. This ought to make more sense now that my test is done. My blade left this little tiny strip of wood, so I removed that real quick with a nice sharp chisel, and suddenly I find myself getting ready to see something come together. But first, I needed to decide how to fasten my frame to the plywood. And because I want strength, since this is basically being stored outside, I choose to glue and screw it. But I don't want to see screw heads from the cooking area. Good thing I have this awesome possum pocket hole jig. Patent pending. I just go ahead and run 3 pocket holes per side. Why 3? I don't know. Probably because I only have 12 screws left over. And just like that, I come before my least favorite part. Tell you why. 45-degree miters somehow always mess with me. I've been getting better, and one thing I've learned to help alleviate frustration is to make a little jig like this thing, and then cut the first side of the piece you want to cut first, and then you line that miter nice and tight and mark the inside of the opposing side. Now with that mark, I head over to my miter saw and slice and dice. I've also found that when possible, assemble it as you go. That helps with accurate marking, and you might notice that with this little trick, I'm not measuring a thing. So for the second piece, I push it tight against the installed piece and make my mark on the opposing angle, and from here it's just lather, rinse, repeat. Before I know it, I drive in my final 3 screws, wipe away any glue that might have pushed out, and that concluded day 1. It was time for a beer and a burger. Day 2 rolled around, and it's time to figure out my leveling system. So on my lunch break, I snuck over to the Home Depot for some ideas. I found this leveling feet system, but I didn't think that was the ticket. So I picked up a few things from the bolt aisle and headed home. I don't remember what these things were called, but I think they were something like spiky, scary, threaded, spiky washers. No. But anyways, I measure the OD of them and drill a hole for the threads to go through and hammer one in to see if this is going to work. My hope over the feet that I found at the store was I wanted this device to be adjustable from the top instead of the bottom. So I drilled the holes for the remaining 3 and got those installed, and it's time to move on to the next step. Now I want to finish this thing nicely since it's going to be used. So I gave it a good sanding all over and knocked down any edges, and just to inhibit easy cleanup while camping, I run a bead of caulk in the corner around my frame and let that dry overnight. The following day was finishing day. Because the grill will be hot and this thing is gonna get tossed around in travel, and it's gonna be outdoors, I'm gonna give it a good coat of primer, let that dry to the stated instructions, and then I'm going to throw a coat of cabinet paint at it. This is the same paint as my kitchen cabinets, which I thought was pretty cool. Plus it's super durable. And it turns out there's just not much to narrate about painting. So let's head on out to the campground. Well, welcome to Stone Lick Lake State Park. Hope you enjoyed the voiceover. I think it's time that we test this feller out. Here's our leveling base. Works as a heat shield for plastic tables. We have one final thing to add to it. Let's check it out. Okay, so obviously part of the exercise was I wanted to be able to put my Traeger on a plastic table without it bowing, but the metal bolts will slide easily across it. We don't want that. So I got some miscellaneous bolt caps. There we go, like a glove. Much better. Now let's go ahead and see how well this levels up. I'm just going to go ahead and use the level app on my phone. And because I have a bulbous camera on this, I have to use the flat side like that. So we need to come down. The sun is quite powerful today. Yeah, it's working. That's pretty cool. Oh, there we go. I don't know if you guys can see that. We're green, baby. And nice and sturdy. Let's go grab that Traeger. Nice. Plenty of room. Plenty of room. Look at that, nice and sturdy. Gonna get this set up to make breakfast. So we'll put this off to the side. Make sure this is seated out back. Our little indent goes here. Let's top her off. Blam. Got some off-brand cups, way cheaper than Traeger brand. I'll link down in the description below. Get this hung up. Heck yeah. Onage, I don't know, go to 350. That's a nice medium, right? There we go. Nice. All right, we're heated up. Let's get some bacon going first. Get this griddle nice and lubricated. I don't know how this package of bacon made it through quality control, but whatever. Pretty good grease retention. Got nothing pulling up on one side. We better close this before the sensor gets a little bit thrown off kilter. I think it's time here to Let's try some pancakes. It's so hot, it's cooking in the bowl. Oop, didn't mix that great. We're roughing it. Heck yeah. Oh, hell yeah. Pull this off. Slide these over here. Oh no, I lost my bacon. I'm actually going to utilize some of this grease here. Get our scrambled eggs going. Look at that. Go ahead and shut her down. Look what we did on the Traeger Ranger. Let's go see. I forgot syrup at the house, so I ran to the nearest convenience store and grossly overpaid for some peanut butter and jelly, and that's what we'll be topping our pancakes with today. Okay, I'm pretty excited to dig into this. This bacon must have been packaged on a Monday or something. Still bacon. Let's try Traeger Ranger eggs. Super good. Let's try our peanut butter and jelly pancakes. It's got a real nice crisp to it. Cheers, guys. Yeah, that's the ticket. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with me this week. I hope you enjoyed this video. This was really fun to make. I'm pretty pleased with, what are we gonna call this thing? I'm going with heat shield leveling sled. Base? I don't know. Let me know in the comments below what we should name this thing. If this is just revision 1 of it, what should I change for revision 2? I know if I do it again, I'll use a hardwood for the outer frame. Kind of like that it's the same color as my kitchen cabinet. I like the no slide feet. I'm very excited to keep on trying this throughout the summer. Thank you guys so much for being here. Hit that like button, subscribe if you don't mind, and I'll see you on the next one.